You ever stop and think about how a container of smartphones from, say, Shenzhen ends up in a store in Chicago? It's kind of like magic, right? This seamless dance of goods and money zipping across the globe. And you've got the banks right in the middle of it all, making sure everyone gets paid. It all just feels so solid, so secure.
But what if it's not? Let's play out a scenario. An exporter puts together this flawless set of documents. The bill of lading, the invoice, everything looks absolutely perfect. So the bank, they check the papers, they see that everything lines up, and bam, they release the payment. But then, when the importer finally gets that container and cracks it open, it's just full of rocks. I mean, your first thought is probably that the bank's on the hook for this, right? They're supposed to be the safety net. They're the ones who checked everything and gave it the thumbs up.
Well, you might want to sit down for this, because the answer is a big, fat, resounding no. And the reason why is this really powerful rule that's basically hiding in plain sight. It's Article 34 of the Uniform Customs and Practice for Documentary Credits, we just call it UCP600. These are the rules of the road for letters of credit, published by the International Chamber of Commerce, and pretty much every bank on the planet plays by them.
So yeah, let's dive into this thing. Because this one article really lays out the very precise, and I mean very limited role that a bank actually plays in these huge global deals. It's all about what the bank promises, and, maybe more importantly, what it absolutely, positively does not.
And it all kicks off with this incredibly blunt opening line, right from Article 34. A bank assumes no liability or responsibility. That one phrase, right there, that's the bedrock of the whole system. And from there, the bank carves out two very specific areas where it just steps away.
Okay, so disclaimer number one is all about the paperwork. You know, this is the bank's entire world. It's what they can actually see and touch, those documents that land on the desk of the trade finance officer.
And here's where it gets really interesting, because look at what the bank says it is not. It's not a detective, looking for falsification or genuineness. And it's not a lawyer trying to figure out the legal effect of all this paperwork. Nope. The bank's job is to be a professional matcher. They look at the documents they're given and they check if, on the surface, they match the terms in the credit. That's it. They're not hunting for some super clever forgery.
All right, so the bank isn't a document expert. Okay, I can kind of see the logic there. But if you thought that was a big step back, hold on. The next disclaimer is the one that's genuinely shocking. This one is all about the bank's responsibility for the real world. The actual stuff behind the paperwork.
Just take a look at this list. The bank is taking no responsibility for the quality or the quantity of the goods. But the real jaw-dropper, the one that goes right back to our container of rocks, is this one. The bank assumes no responsibility for the existence of the goods. Just let that sink in for a second. The documents can be picture perfect, but if the goods were never even there to begin with, Article 34 says, not our problem.
To really make this stick, think about it like this. The bank is like a librarian. When you go to check out a book, what does the librarian do? They check your card, they scan the barcode. Is it their job to have read the book to make sure the story's any good or that there aren't any pages missing? Of course not. The bank is doing the exact same thing. It checks the book cover, the documents, but it has zero responsibility for the story inside, the actual shipment.
So, right about now, you're probably thinking, this sounds insane. Why on earth would a rule like this even exist? It just feels like it's there to protect the banks. And look, that's a totally fair question. But this rule, it's actually absolutely essential. And this is exactly why. First up, speed. If a bank had to physically inspect every single shipment, global trade would just grind to a halt. Second, cost. Can you imagine the fees if every single transaction meant hiring investigators and surveyors? And third, and this is a big one, expertise. A banker knows finance. They don't know about the quality of coffee beans or the technical specs of a microchip. This rule keeps everybody doing the job they're actually good at.
So, it all boils down to this one crucial point. And if you only remember one thing from all of this, make it this. Banks deal in documents, not goods. I'm going to say that again because it is that important. Banks deal in documents, not goods. Their entire job, their whole responsibility, it starts and it ends with that stack of paper.